Evening, everyone. Call to order the Board of Finance. Today is Wednesday, July 15th, 2026, 7 p.m. And we'll just start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
Republic
Thanks. Next, we will minutes from July 17th, 2026. Motion to approve. So moved. Thank you.
One change.
Oh,
I wasn't there.
okay. Well, I'll second that. And discussion.
Just a change. I wasn't present at that meeting.
Okay. We will make that amendment. All right. Do we approve the minutes with the change that Mr. Reinhardt was not there? All in favor? Say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Any opposed? Okay. We'll go with next is chair's comments. I do have one thing. I would like to open up the agenda to insert let's see, topic 9A, which is to discuss and take action to approve a routine 2026 lead early voting grant in the amount of $13,293 for the register of voters, pending the board of selectmen approval. Did I get a motion to second? Okay. All in favor? Aye. And we will enter that in and discuss it at the appropriate time. And then we'll go to finance members' comments. We'll start with you, Jude, online.
The Library Board of Trustees is preparing for a very active summer. The library also has a special committee that they have that's looking at various fundraising activities. Other than that, I don't have much more to say tonight.
Thank you. Bob?
I was not able to attend the facilities committee. I thought that Bob mentioned in the minutes that I was that you couldn't attend. So I don't have anything from the meeting, but their draft report it's in version 3 now. So I've been reviewing that for Bob as well.
Okay.
I have no further updates on any Board of Ed information that there is the next meeting coming up by August 18th. In tennis, a bit of a slow time now.
Okay. And I was not able to attend the last economic development mission, so I'll be on the next one. All right. Report from first level.
Good evening. Really very busy couple of weeks here. So we had our major 3 events for the July. Everything I think went off well. So I think the town staff and the volunteers made the parade, fireworks, and the concert on the green is success. Despite the heat, and so we had to move some start times and everything, but I think everybody adjusted really well. We did get hit with a storm on July 4th. So we'll see how this year plays out. But that's not a good way to start the year, a storm on a holiday, nonetheless. So, but I got to give a lot of credit to our public works crews and building and grounds. They reacted quickly. We did the best to get power. We had over 1,000 households at one point without power in Madison. Luckily within, I think, 2 days. So that was good. And then we had last weekend a boiled water issued by the Department of Public Health. So, and once again, our Sandy Rivers management director, health director, and then communication jumped in, including myself. Just it was kind of crazy. So what we got through it, luckily, and being kind of all for nothing, unfortunately, because of the good news is there wasn't an issue, but it did have wreak a lot of havoc on particularly on businesses in town. So it's been a very, very busy month. So so with that, let's hope that things quiet down. I think we had our fill of emergencies and events in Madison, and that's kind of it. Oh, and I do want to say the town meeting Monday night was successful, and $100 was by default because of lack of So we had a good discussion with the members of the public to come to ask some questions, so that was helpful.
Great. We'll just take a pause, and John, we're just doing comments. Any comments?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wondering, last meeting, we asked the Board of Selectmen to take up the issue of the trust fund. I'm just wondering what happened with that.
It'll go on one of our agendas soon. It's just a timing issue. Plus, I know Stacy wanted to get some more advice from outside advice and stuff before we bring to the Board of Selectmen, but it'll come on probably, I'm guessing, September. We'll try to schedule it for that meeting for the discussion.
August is in the possibility.
Well, I've already backed up, every agenda's got a
Okay.
list, so I'm kind of trying to, so we don't have 4-hour meetings, that's all. So if I can get it on August, I gotta coordinate with Stacy a little better. It's also getting the element to so there's some work that they need to do, and then we gotta schedule all that. So, but the intention is it'll go on an agenda soon.
Okay. And this is, I guess, more of a status update. The academy bonds that we issued. I know we brought this up before. It's kind of coming in from right field, but what are we earning on those? I know it was asked months ago, and what are we paying on it? And do we have any plans for using that?
Well, the board has talked about that in order to repurpose those bonds, that will require both town meeting vote.
Yeah.
And that's going to be part of the discussion in the fall when we go through capital setting priorities. We have multiple plans coming to a head. And we have to pick what projects are going to be the priority and then how we're going to pay for them. One of the sources is that, and then we have other things and the grants that we might try to repurpose. In terms of, Stacy can speak probably best to, in terms of the cost versus,
Yeah.
It's kind of cost neutral because we are able to, we can't arbitrage it, right? So,
right.
but it's kind of cost neutral, I would say.
Yeah, as far as the interest that we're charged, we can't earn any.
No, I know there's the IRS arbitrage
Yeah,
requirements,
exactly, so that
but it's not really costing us anything because we're earning what we're paying.
We went to look at it,
Is that-
but it's,
I don't know what the rates are right now, but we cannot earn any more than what we're paying.
Understood.
Like, are we under water? I guess maybe we should look
Yeah.
at it. Every once in a while she'll look at it.
Yeah.
and break even, it's not to the penny, but we could look at it again because rates are changing and they're coming down. So, we'll look at where we are.
And another thing, another right field subject. I think it was brought up recently that facilities is looking at certain buildings and the issue of whether tenants have been considered in any of these moves. And I'm just wondering if maybe this is the point in time where we say, are we charging fair market rent for any of our rentals? Should we be in the business as a town of doing that? This might be the time to kind of get the discussion going because we are talking about certain facilities being repurposed, and I just thought it might be something to get on the discussion board.
That's really part of the charge facilities committee.
Yeah.
They have a draft master plan. They're going to be presenting that to the board of selectmen on Monday night, which is kind of the first step of how you use all these buildings. What do we keep? What do we don't keep? And I certainly think that has to be part of the conversation. We don't really charge rent for any groups right now using, but they're nonprofit groups.
Okay.
It also includes the chamber, the Charlotte Everett's Archive, Madison Land Trust, the Arts Barn. So those are all going to have to be part of the discussion about policies going forward. And it's specifically if we're going to be, making decisions about putting capital investments in the buildings. One of the things that the facilities committee is part of their report, their interim report, is they actually looked at the cost structure, the carrying cost of those buildings, right? Utilities, maintenance. So that will help us think through, I think, if we want to consider any kind of rental policies moving forward.
Thank you.
Last year. It's just a follow-up on John's question, just for clarification. I'm assuming that the notes that have already been issued or that the debt that we've taken on so far for the Academy project, we will not continue to draw down any debt in the future, any of the bonds or all that thing. So we're not legally obligated to
No,
No.
take any further funding.
no.
What is the total amount now that we have outstanding?
Oh, yeah, I think it was 6.5, yeah, 6 million, yeah.
It was 2 million.
And we spent,
Yeah, we spent 1 million, so
1.4,
that
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
But we could not draw down anymore because the purpose, the scope, it was limited to that
Yeah,
scope.
so if the scope changed, that's, then that's approved, but no, we cannot draw down any that project.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
kind of a follow-up to my follow-up. We can't use this, I mean, I would think the bond indenture would say we can't use it for certain other things, but we can only use it for academy if we decide at some point, and I'm not saying this is gonna happen, but if we said we're taking down the building, then we say, okay, now we can use that amount for it, and are we restricted? I guess my point is, if we're not gonna use it, why would we pay it off now?
So we can use the funding, but it takes town, the existing funding for the bonds that have already been issued, right? It would require, according to our bond council, it would require board of selectmen, board of finance, a town, meeting approval to do that. So we could decide to use it to pay for demolition or repurpose it for something else.
But only academy, we couldn't use it for.
No, we
something-
can use it for another project.
We could.
Yeah, we can redirect the
Okay.
funds and the board, selectmen can change the scope and then we would just have to go through the approval process for that. If we were trying to use additional funding capacity, that would probably most likely have to go out to referendum again. If we have a $16 million authorization. And this is, I know we had talked about that, but most likely you just have to go out to get approval again for
Yeah.
that. So we want to spend the 5 or 10 million that hasn't been used and we want to use it for surf club. That has to go on the ballot.
Well, Frank Gill was busy.
Right. So.
Thank you. All right, well, next will be citizens' comments. Jeannie, are there any hands raised?
Yes, there are. Hold on one second. Go ahead, Janet.
Hi, everyone. Janet Nicolini. I have a question almost about the same thing, but with the school renewal bonds. I was wondering if there exists, or if not, can we get it? An accounting of the school renewal plan. How are we tracking? So what bonds have been issued so far? What grants have come in? What has been paid for? What are our outstanding liabilities yet to be paid? And then ultimately, how are we tracking against the budget? I think, I don't think that I've seen that ever come out. So just wondering if we can get that and publicize it.
Thank you, Janet. And Janet, just for the record, could you state your address, please?
Sure, it's 8 Madison Avenue.
Thank you. So just to repeat what you're saying, for the school renewal bonds, you would like to see an accounting of, what bonds have come in, grants, what's been paid for, what's still outstanding, and tracking, and how it's tracking the budget.
Correct. And so whether Ryerson demolition is able to be squeezed into that, so just if there's anything left, if we're doing better than we thought, worse than we thought, just wondering about that.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Sorry. All right, thanks, Janet. Jeannie, anyone else?
No.
Once. And as Channeling Picard, any more citizens' comments? Any more citizens' comments? Any more citizens' comments? Those are closed, and we'll open them up at the conclusion of our meeting. Next order of business is to accept a donation from Neighbor to Neighbor in the amount of $23,500 to the Madison Youth and Family Services for financial gifts and an board of selectmen approval. May I get that in form of motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jude. And discussion.
Mr. Chair,
Just,
I'm just wondering, did anyone go to the donor and ask them if this could be used for Meals on Wheels? I mean, we've been talking about fundraising and, I mean, was it the whole intent? I didn't see the details of,
It never has been used for something else.
I know it hasn't.
It's a separate
Yeah.
fund, so.
Yeah.
the Donor clearly say you want this for this
Yeah.
purpose. I mean, it's a question we can ask Scott Cochran.
I think he has
Yes.
good use
Yeah,
of the money. And he has, it's just always been separate and it's been for that purpose versus.
Okay.
yeah, neighbor to neighbor, you know, is a more collected fund that.
Yeah.
Donations there. And
Yeah.
Madison Foundation does a grant directly to. the
Right.
donors.
No, and I assume in the past years they've done similar. I don't recall it being on the agenda, but
Yeah, no, they've done for years, we
Yeah.
have $5,000, $10,000, all, it's been fantastic.
so it's kind of assumed it's going to be used for certain purposes already before the fiscal year even begins.
So, social services.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Alert to y'all.
Thank you.
so any other discussion?
I just have one request. It has nothing to do with the actual grant, but on the donation form, is it possible to get a printed name block next to the signature? I have, there's no way in the world I can tell who that is. And if we ever need to show who it is, I know it's a department chair, but thank you. I have one tissue.
I don't know, I'm sorry.
Not saying God bless you.
I'm good, yeah. No, I'm good, thank you all.
Just assume that.
No, I'm good.
So thank you. Got it, Bob. Any other discussion? All right, we will move to a vote. Do we, move to vote to accept the donation to neighbor, the amount of 23,500?
So moved.
Thank you. Oh, no, it's to vote.
It's already been moved and seconded. We-
Oh,
Yeah, the vote.
There it is. Okay.
Yeah, so now we're voting to accept the donation, neighbor, the amount of 23,500. Madison Youth and Family Services for financial hardships, back works. All approved? Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Thank you, neighbor to neighbor.
Yes, thank you. For 8, discuss and take action to adopt a Board of Finance regulation establishing the town clerk and register of voters reserve funds. Can I get that in the form of a motion?
I'll move.
Thank you.
I've got the two.
Get a second on that?
Oh, second,
Okay,
sorry.
thank you. Thank you. All right, discussion.
As part of the discussion, I just wanted to put on the record that I was going to recuse myself since I had a family member. with
Yeah.
one registrar, so I'll these items.
Were there any questions, please?
I have a couple of.
Go ahead, Bob.
I guess I'm trying to understand first do we need another fund to fund every year? I guess I'm curious too about what the range of expenses are typical for this on an annual basis. How far off are they? I mean, is it orders of magnitude even? And then also, what do we think the annual contribution would be? If the fund target is no more than 100,000, that's it. Yeah, so not exceed 100,000. I'm assuming that's kind of the target we want to get to. So, what's the general, the seasonality is? I realize it's every 2 years it's going to spike and then drop down.
Yeah, 4, because presidential is totally different than one, I guess.
Yeah, but then you got the interim ones, and then you got that years in between, section 1, 2, and 4.
Yeah,
One
it
and two
just
as well.
seems like every year it could spike and then go down, and we have been doing that. But based on, they could, yes, guys, please chime in, but they develop a budget, this is what we anticipate. There could be a primary, there could be an additional referendum. So maybe we should, raise it in 1 year and then drop it the next year. So we were trying to alleviate that and just set up a small reserve fund. We had some excess balances for this current fiscal year in the town clerk's department and the register of voters. So we thought, you know what? Why don't we ask to move this money over and start this reserve fund because of these fluctuations. Jim Newton did do a very in-depth analysis over the next 5 years, and it looks like the average over the 5 years could be about $20,000. So we thought it was a good place to start. And then we said, no more if the fund keeps, building up. If you decide you don't have to during the budget process, you know what? We could maybe have an additional referendum based on what we know. Build it into the budget. You don't have to, but that will come to you annually. But this would start the reserve fund for those potentials that would be out
So
there.
is it independent, it's not part of CNRE?
Nope, it's its own separate reserve fund.
And I will say, I mean, you've been doing this a long time. I've been here 7 years.
Yeah.
It is every year we get this.
Right.
Try to predict and, things pop up during the year and the primary is another example because you still have to stay. Now with early voting, that was another wild card that came in. And now we have the no excuse absentee, so it's just a lot of unpredictability.
Right, and it's always been that we do not plan for anything that is not existing at the time of the budget. So again, things pop up, that we're going to do a referendum and we don't have the funds for it. Many things are changing now. There's going to be actually probably starting in 2027, additional funds from the town clerk's office are going to be needed for elections. We now have no excuse absentee that started, and in 2027 they've pushed it where it's also going to be anyone can get and sign up for an absentee ballot, a permanent one. That's going to cause additional postage, twice the amount of work between an application and a ballot. Don't know what the numbers are going to be. There's a lot of unknowns, but early voting has caused, a large increase in costs. So we kind of thought if we could do something to keep it more balanced every year and have this fund, then we stop doing the big spikes. Each year it climbs until we do a presidential. That obviously is the most expensive. So we've been asking for this for a number of years, thinking that it would help and we could keep the budget a little bit more balanced each year.
In some years we get bigger grant from the state, some years we don't,
But we don't know what they'll be. It's really,
And I was trying to think, is the other, would this be eligible to pay for equipment sometimes? Because I know there's always.
grants.
Well, no, I'm thinking this fund,
Oh,
yeah.
We did put that in the regulation.
Yeah, so that's sometimes an issue, so there's just a lot of things like that. And then also town meetings come out of this. So if we have a very busy year where we're gonna need a bunch of town meetings for whatever, that all we have to pay the registrars,
Right.
there's expenses associated.
You were all set, right?
Yeah, I'm set.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I appreciate the explanation and I understand it, but I mean, couldn't conceivably any department say, geez, I'd like to have a little reserve fund, so if we have something unexpected a year, I don't have to come to the finance board for a special appropriation, I can just go to my reserve fund. I'm just trying to.
This
kind
is
of-
regulated, so this
Yeah.
is very different, because you have to have elections, you have
Yeah.
processes you have to go through. There's mandates, there's no choice, whereas the departments, it's different. They're like, no, you can't do it, you just can't do it, but you can't do that. You can't say we can't afford to really vote this year,
Yeah.
right? Or we can't have that second town meeting because we ran out of money.
But we've had those cases where you come back and boards hear the reason and they say yes.
Well, this is more for the annual budget, though. Keep in
Yeah.
mind, this isn't because we know the town will fund this, but we'd
Mhm.
rather just have a flat line in the budget. We're always trying to make the budget, steady, right? And avoid spikes. So then every year, we kind of go back and forth, and we're like, okay, do we add 5 or 10? Do we take a dip down? And there is a risk that in a low year, especially a year when you don't have first selectman on the ballot, we could have cut the budget a lot, right? But we didn't do that because we felt like it was better so that the next year we don't have this big spike. So we're just trying to avoid those things hitting the annual budget. That's what the thinking was behind this.
Hmm.
So you gotta think through the cycle too, right? So if we, last year, I can't remember where we ended up coming out, but because we didn't have a big municipal, right?
Because they're,
Yeah,
selectmen weren't on it.
that was the first year though we'd had that, so we didn't know what turnout was gonna be either, you know, so it was kind of gaming that, like, how do you budget for that? So,
Right, the town has no choice. The town has to pay for elections. And each election, like I said, it'll start with the municipal at the lowest, and then your next year it gets higher, and the next year it gets higher. You get to a presidential, and that's the most expensive. And right now, with all the changes that are coming through with early voting, and like I said, you know, this new permanent absentee, we don't know what this is gonna create. And how many people are gonna wanna do this? We don't know what the cost is gonna be. And if we had this fund to defer, you know, to, and keeping the budget, you know, more flat each year, for us, you know, it would be a given, we know we've got the funds there, we don't have to worry as much that we have to go and ask for appropriations. It seemed to me to be helpful for the situation for the town. You know? Costs keeps, it just seems that the costs keep going up and up and up with all the changes.
Yeah, no, I get that. I guess I just feel we're losing budgetary control, but,
well, but what are the, to take money out of the fund?
Yeah, so the way that you wrote it, anything in excess of $10,000 in a given year would have to go to the Board of Selectmen to release the funds. So really, it's sitting there. So, and we don't have to budget for it next year, but this 20 or 19,950 will go in there, it'll sit there, and it will be only released for a purpose.
if it's over $10,000.
If it's over $10,000, anything under 10, and we can change it.
Yeah.
This is the way we drafted it up. Anything under 10,000, we did say the first select person can approve taking money out to pay for these types of fluctuations.
So-
Well, and I think I think of an example when we had the Academy referendum last year, right? We sent out a notice, right? To every household. That was what, $5,000 or postage is really expensive now. So
Yeah.
that was something that we had to pull money from this year because of the fact that our voting locations changed. That's another unexpected expense. You had to notify voters. We did another mailer for that, right? Because we had to close Polson for the renovations and change the voting location. So this is a way to just say, okay, we can pull it from there. It's a valid expense. And then, you know, so it's, you know, it's funds that are earmarked to deal with election related issues. So it doesn't impact operations. We don't have to go through boards. Sometimes you need to react quickly or, so that's the thing.
Okay, so the way I'm reading it, there's three ways to fund it. One, if we have excess funds at the end of the year, it goes through Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen to say yes or no. Second one is a special appropriation, same process. And the third one would be a line item in the budget. Right, so we have control of what goes in,
You did.
and then if it's in, it can be spent. Okay. There you go.
Any other discussions? Move to vote, to approve the to adopt the Board of Finance regulation establishing the town clerk and register of voters reserve fund. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any no's? All right, that passes. Item 9. Discuss and take action to approve a special appropriation in the amount of $19,950 into the town clerk and register of voters reserve fund pending Board of Selectmen approval. I get that in the form of a motion.
Someone,
Second. Got it. Second.
Sure.
Okay. All right, discussion. Any thoughts, Stacy, on the amount?
So the amount, basically, like I said, was based on the balance that at the end of the fiscal year that we just finished. There was some excess funds in the registrar of voters as well as the town clerk's office. So we said, why not use that as a rationale to start up the reserve fund? So that's where the number came from. As well as it was in line with what the registrars did as far as a 5-year projection was about 22,000. So we thought this was fair. Since the funds were available, and that's pretty much what they're looking at by year of what we could possibly.
Same effect that if we continued an appropriation rather than lapsing it, basically. Yeah. Okay.
So we'll move to vote on the special appropriation, the amount of $19,950 into the town clerk and register of voters reserve fund, pending Board of Selectmen approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Ayes have it. And one abstention. Sorry, thank you. Then the new item 9A is to discuss and take action to approve a routine 2026 lead early voting grant in the amount of $13,293 for the register of voters pending Board of Selectmen approval. Can I get that in the form of a motion?
I'll move.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. So this is new to us. Is there any background information?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
based on the previous election event, the state has been providing these grants. They do require that they're used for the next elections. And I believe that this one is for the primary and the November election. I haven't heard that it's supposed to be anything additional in November. So, and they do require that after the funds are used, and I believe this one's specifically for early voting. And when the funds are completed and they have to be used by a certain period of time, the finance department has been sending a report to show that they were in fact used for specific items for whatever they've specified, if it's early voting or just the election. And I can tell you that that amount of early voting will go very quickly. And I'm not sure if it'll probably take care of the primary. It will not take care of the November election. So
Estimated to a budget, right? That we
Yeah,
could-
yeah,
we're similar,
maybe a little bit more.
Yeah,
I think it's actually about 14.
is what we put in the budget.
That's what it was.
The top budget for,
right,
yeah.
Yeah, sometimes, some years there weren't anything, but.
right. So we never know if we're getting anything. This was a surprise the other day when I opened up the email. And again, it fluctuates based on what has taken place in the town the previous year. And so I don't know whoever has the list, but I know that Guilford was a little bit more, I believe, that they're getting. But I know we're compared to some other towns that are only at like 5,000 because they didn't get the residents out the way that we have. So I think our percentage has been higher than it has been in the past for people coming out to vote. And I think that's a lot because of early voting.
Nancy, just a point of clarification. So to your knowledge, the allocation of those funds that we receive as a town is based on voter turnout, or is it based on voters in town?
I believe it's voter turnout, the prior event.
Discussion?
We're accepting a grant, right? That's all we're doing. I'm good with that. I like money.
It's
I like money.
All right. So we will vote on the special appropriation. I'm so sorry for the grants. Discuss, approve the routine 2026 lead early voting grant in the amount of $13,293 from the register of voters pending Board of Selectmen approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
Staying.
Thank you. All right, that passes. Item number 10, approve routine line item transfers fiscal year 25-26 totaling $150,765 pending board of selectmen approval. Get that in form of motion.
Move.
Second,
I'll second.
discussion. Stacy, is there any,
No, I mean, you can go through and ask me, questions. We did divvy them up. We did look at individual balances within our departments and the operating budget and try to think, how can we be a little bit more proactive to move some of these funds into the reserve funds, thinking future that maybe we can utilize the funds there. And that really is what's here. Other than that is a line item transfer for PD overtime. That's routine. And then we did have some cafe wages at the senior center that we thought Meals on Wheels being such a hot discussion item during the budget process. We had cafe wages. We didn't have the position filled. Why not move those monies over into the Meals on Wheels program? So other than that, unless you have specific questions.
I just have a question about the process. How do we decide to move money from Fund A to Fund B? If they're not the same, obviously it wouldn't be the same fund, but is there a discussion amongst department heads on that, or how does that work? We spoke briefly today about an open position engineering that is going to be changed into, is going to be shifted to the planning.
Reserve, yeah.
What's the thought process behind that?
Yeah, so it's really, I mean, every month we go through, we analyze the entire operating budget, where we are. At the end of the year, we're like, okay, these are our ending balances. Is there anywhere else that we would want to move them to cover deficits in other line items? Or are there reserves that maybe can use a little extra lift? So we internally in the finance office, we talk with the first selectman's office and come up with a plan. And then there is a rationale behind each one of these. It's not like we're taking a salary line item and putting it into a reval reserve. Like there is a correlation between every one of these line item transfers. So that's basically our job, to go through and see if there's anything, else we can get a little proactive.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
The only question I have is just for future, is do each of the reserve funds have a target amount, or is it just,
They don't.
okay,
They don't. I mean, we could give the history of what we've used over the years, if that would help, but the majority of them, I have to look at each individual one. Don't really have a target amount in there. But just knowing based on history and potential future needs, we kind of weigh it all and then come up with a recommendation. And you may look at, the financials and come up with different recommendations that we're all into, but these were ours at this point.
and I assume if we don't move these, they just go into the unassigned.
Yeah. And those monies will go into these reserve funds and they will stay there for that purpose. They can't be used for anything else. And they will stay there until we need them. And to get money out of those reserve funds, they have a process to go to the boards as well. So it's not like it's just sitting there and then you take it to you. It goes through a process afterwards.
Any other comments or discussion points?
Nope.
So we will move to vote to approve the routine line item transfers for FY 25-26 totaling $150,765, pending board of selectmen approval. All those in favor say aye.
Right.
No. Motions. That passes. Item 11, review the financials. Any questions of Stacy and Kristen based on what we received?
Yes.
That's enough.
Actually, I'm spreadsheet.
That is complete. Item 12, citizens' comments.
Nobody's online.
Oh, okay.
See.
And,
Mr. Chair?
yes,
Yeah, I feel I was out of right field questions earlier. We had a request tonight earlier from a citizen, and I do want to make sure that's addressed in accounting of the school project. Because I have that desire to just find out where we stand with it, and we could get some type of update, that would be great.
sure. I will send an email to the finance department with that's a citizen's request to look into or to create.
That's an easy one, it's in its own fund.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it was the board of selectmen received an update 2 months ago, was it? I think
Yeah.
we talked about how we're going for ours, and so. Yeah. So
We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, that's, thank you.